I just need that Chelsea collapse because it's what I predicted. As you don't know, I said that I think Maresca is completely out of his depth as a Chelsea manager. I saw what he did at Leicester City last season, nearly bottom of the league. I feel he's more of a coach than a manager. And that Chelsea screw's turning. And I know it upsets a few Chelsea fans when you mention that potentially, they've once again made a really poor managerial appointment. So, yeah, for me, I said Chelsea will finish below Aston Villa again this season before a ball was kicked. That'll be 3 seasons in a row. That'd be massive for me. So, yeah, come on, Spurs. And, yeah, thanks for having me on.
Not a problem. I mean, staying on that subject, because I think it's worthwhile talking about. You say that Maresca is out of his depth. Is it just he's too inexperienced to manage a club the size of Chelsea in a league as difficult as the Premier League? Or is there something else that you think is wrong?
Both, really. I think, look, the Chelsea job for me is still, after what Jose Mourinho came and done at that club, he set the sort of standards. He set the standards of what it means to be a Chelsea manager. Of course, mentions to people like Ranieri previous to that. But for me, that job, you felt the expectation when this Chelsea title talk came into place. And the manager went into a shell. Then all of a sudden, we saw in-game management from Maresca, shocking, his lack of use of his bench. And we talk about this amazing squad depth that Chelsea have. And I know, Terry, offline, you're talking about Don telling us how good Chelsea's squad depth is. Well, why is this squad depth not being used in-game like we're seeing? And then all of a sudden, the excuses come. So I think there's one part to it. And I think there's also a fundamental difference between that being a coach and being a manager. I think Maresca, it, for me, falls into that category. I got no doubt about it that he's probably a very top level coach. And if you look at some of the stuff that Pep Guardiola said about him, that's true. But when it comes to managing, I think it's a completely different ball game. And I just think Maresca is feeling that pressure. Chelsea's away record, again, crunch time of the season, Chelsea's away record is poor. And so for me, I just think that there is pressure on him tonight because, correct me if I'm wrong, Henry, is it something like 34? Was I right here?
Spurs one win in 34 years at the Bridge.
It's the type of, but it's the type of game tonight that maybe again, if Maresca loses this, and I think you obviously put it in title, Chelsea must win tonight, Terry, and I think that a loss tonight just shines that spotlight on Maresca even more so.
I think it is a massive must win for Chelsea. I don't think there is any way of sort of papering over that crack, because since they went, I think it was like mid-December, they had an opportunity to go top and they lost the game. In that period, they've won, I think, 4 matches, and that's been against Leicester, Southampton, Wolves, and West Ham. So over a 14-game period, just 4 wins. It might be 13 games, 13 or 14 games, 4 wins. And all of those teams that they've beaten have been below them in the form table. Now, Spurs and Ipswich are also below them in that same period of form table. So to not beat Spurs, one, as you say, that 34-year record, Spurs are in worse form than them. Plus, I think what was keeping a lot of some Chelsea fans have been calling this out. A lot of others, we have quite a few viewers. DJ, hope you're watching. Why are you criticizing us? We're in 4th. And I haven't actually seen him for a while, but we have an American guy that comes on who goes by the name of Ronin. I hope he's well and hope he's good. Just haven't seen him in the chat for a while. Another person that's not criticized, we're 4th. Well, you're now 6th. You don't win tonight and you stay 6th. And then over the course of the next couple of game weeks, you end up in 7th or 8th and then only maintain that level. It's a disastrous season. One, considering you bought more players in the summer. It's the 3rd year of your club size rebuild. And when you're going into a 3rd year, ending your 3rd year, still only in and around sort of a high mid-table position, no Champions League football again, plus the start they had, it would be horrendous. So Chelsea tonight, look, they've had some really good performances this season. Earlier on in the campaign, they were playing well. They blew some teams away. They were looking brilliant. Maresca has got to try and find a way to get this Chelsea team cooking. And where there are even less excuses for Chelsea is Palmer, Jackson. The injury list is then shortened as well. So I think you're absolutely right. Everything coupled in, and even though they're the favourites because of Spurs' awful record at the Bridge, I think it puts a lot of pressure on them, as you say, to go out there and win. It really does. Don here has a question for you, actually, Josh. He says, question for Josh. Your take on Maresca is fair. However, do you believe that you won't be able to turn things around between now and the end of the season?
Sure, there's no signs to suggest he will. The only things I can go off, is last season at Leicester City. How did the season end? How did the season end? In turmoil. They were on a frantic decline. They were scraping for that first spot in the end. And basically, that's a manager for me who can't handle the run-in at the end of the season. So I can only go off that semantic. The other one for me is this is what I was thinking about with Chelsea. Has anyone actually improved under Maresca? Has any Chelsea individual improved under Maresca? And has Maresca actually found his best lineup yet? I still think he's searching, still think he's scratching. He's got a real big problem with the 9. So Don said, do I think he can turn things around between now and the end of the season? I think it's a frantic period in which he doesn't have much time to. April is a hectic month for every team. Midweek games, weekend games, especially the Conference League. For me, it's going to come down to what do these group of players have? What quality do these group of players have now to do that? So I personally, for me, don't think they'll get top 4. I personally don't think they'll turn it around, and I think it has to fall on Maresca come the end of the season, and that will hurt some Chelsea fans. But I'm putting it down to, again, a really poor managerial appointment for the trajectory that club is trying to go for.
Josh, sorry to cut you off. Are you confident that with Unai and the squad you've got now, you'll finish above Chelsea? I know you said at the beginning of the show, but of course you're still in the FA Cup. You've got more games to play. You're still in the Champions League. Are you still confident that you will 1,000,000% finish above them?
So coming into January, February, I was, because I just believed that I felt the progress going, and then we had a really poor blip where we dropped points to teams around then, like Ipswich, your Brightons, your West Hams, etc. Right now, if you had to ask me, I would probably say yes, because of our squad depth. I believe Aston Villa yesterday, we saw again, Henry, with the squad depth that we've got, when you've got the likes of Donyell Marlon, Ollie Watkins, Anana, Ian Matson, Disasi, all on the bench. I think our squad depth allows us to compete across all competitions. And I don't know, I've just got this feeling that Maresca is going to really struggle in the next couple of months. They're dipping at the wrong time. We're peaking at the right time. That's how I feel.
Do you know what it is, right? There'll be people that will look to clip Josh up, and that's fair. Josh already gives me the impression that he's got thick enough skin to take being clipped up. And I've only just met him in the last 10 minutes and 10 minutes backstage. You can just tell that he's not going to be a baby and cry about it. But I will also echo what he's saying and state this. There is no evidence in the last 4 months, 3.5, 4 months, to suggest that Chelsea are going to finish ahead of Villa, Newcastle, Forest, Manchester City. Those teams are just playing better and winning more games. And when you look at Villa as an example, I saw today a big account talk about Omar Mamouche being the best January signing. Been a very good one. A lot of his goals have come against the lesser sides, but he's been a very good one. How are you not saying it's Asensio? I know it's a loan, but that man has scored ridiculous amounts of goals. He looks a star. Rashford is creating. He's now started scoring as an example. Villa are stacked. I look at Villa's attack, and you could probably make an argument that in terms of depth of quality is maybe the best in the league right now. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant. So look, Chelsea are going to have to start performing, and that begins tonight. Chelsea's performance levels have got to get back to what they were mid-September to mid-December 2024. And if they do that for 2 or 3 games, I can only speak for myself here, my mind will change. But right now, based on their performances, I can't see Chelsea getting into the top 4 or qualifying for the Champions League. There's too many sides that are better. If, though, they get that sort of September to December form back, then it's possible. If Palmer starts scoring, Jackson starts scoring. If Sancho can get some goals, and Neto can actually deliver some output, then it could be different. But you can't ignore the past 3.5 months form, the fledgling nature of the manager. I just think, then you've got to look at what all Chelsea fans call out. Sanchez in goal, The defense needs work. I just think if you ignore all these things just to pat a Chelsea fan on the head and say, "Oh, you'll be okay," I just think you're being disrespectful to them as individuals, as people. I'm not going to blow smoke up their ass and go, "Yeah, Chelsea, you'll be fine," because there's no evidence to suggest they're going to be now this season. So, look, it's going to be a really interesting one.
I said it a couple of weeks ago on the show actually, when we were talking about Chelsea last, and I posed the question: how much of that start to the season was down to all the work Pochettino being putting in at the back end of last season when they were on that really good run of form? The fact they ended the season as the third best team in the league on form. How much of that was just muscle memory of that? And the moment that sort of wears out, it becomes down to Maresca to make the decisions, and all of a sudden the form's gone out the window. I said at the time Maresca was a bit of a weird appointment. He should have stuck by Poch. Poch left for whatever reason. And now you're just seeing a manager who he's showing his inexperience more than anything. Because in moments of crisis, in moments of turmoil, he's making incorrect decisions. He's making weird moves. He's trusting players that should be taken out the lineup. He's making changes where it doesn't necessarily need to be made. Obviously, at least now Chelsea fans are acknowledging that injuries are a problem in the season. It's only taken until March and for the striker to be injured. But they now understand that teams have injuries. But it's how you deal with them. You have to adapt. You have to make adjustments. I can't help but feel that since December, since teams have started to defend Chelsea in a little different way, I feel like the likes of Palmer, who started the season so well and was in conversations for being the best player in the Premier League in October, he's ineffective at best now. And this is all...
Is that down to poor form, though? Or is that down to Maresca's system? Because it's not like he isn't getting in the area to score goals. It's not like he isn't having clear-cut chances. So is that a Maresca problem or is that a Palmer problem? Or both?
I think it's both. I feel like the team around him isn't... I think his finishing hasn't been as good. So the chances that he's getting that he might have scored last season, he's not scoring now. But he is still creating chances for others that aren't getting put away. And the bigger problem, he's also not being able to create certain chances that he was creating last season because people aren't making the correct runs. There's no confidence. There's no belief. The changing system has changed the attacking dynamics. I said it 3 weeks ago. Chelsea are a cup team. Chelsea do not have the players in their squad at the minute to play the football Maresca dreams of playing. He has players who are quick, direct, and lack a brain cell at the best of times. And Maresca wants to play this slow, controlled, nice football where you play through the lines. Pedro Neto can't do that. Madueke can't do that.
Yeah, I think where you're pulling on, I think there are some Chelsea fans that have come to the realization that some of their players this season are just not there. Don here says, why does every Chelsea debate come off of what Don's opinion is? Well, that's not really true. We were just talking about one specific thing. And David also says, Terry, put my opinion across. I speak about your opinion quite a lot, David. And I actually respect your opinion highly because you don't claim that you are right and you know ball and you're this and that. You just say that you understand what they're trying to do. They're buying loads of young players and they want them all to mature together at the same time. You're not saying it's a guarantee to work. You're also not saying it's a guarantee to fail. You're just willing to be patient for that to blossom. That's fair. What we're discussing really is the need to win tonight and what will happen this season. So that's why I suppose your opinion hasn't come into this, because I know what you will say. Well, let's just keep moving in the direction that we've set out to do, which is fair. But that's what you want to happen, David. I think in reality, if you guys end up coming 6th, 7th, or 8th, I think there could be carnage this summer, especially if you're not going out and buying more experience. Because I know you, David, don't mind that per se. I'm not saying that you do, but I'm just talking about there are already protests about what's going on. And it's a crazy one. It really, really is. Give us your thoughts and feelings on Chelsea's situation. George, welcome to the show, mate. Thanks for coming on. I really, really do appreciate it, buddy. David at least makes sense. Don is egal levels of deluded. Oh, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say he's if
I don't think we should even refer to Don as a gal, because I think that's disrespectful to a gal. Don is in his own level of it's Don Ludid should be his name because Don's the first person to tell you I told you so when he's got 1 out of 50 opinions correct. That's what Don does. He get 1 out of 50. Well, I told you that I was right about that one. And
he did it to me the other day with Fernandes. Fernandes scored a couple of goals for Argentina again, or had a couple of good assists. And he goes, what have you been saying about Fernandes? Okay, he's been good, but let's see it more consistent.
And he'll continue to. I think that the other day was the first conversation we had when Don's actually been a bit more, realistic about his team and Chelsea's chances going into this game.
Do you know? I think it is with Don, right? And I love you, bro, but I'm going to say this: if Don had a higher pitched voice and a North American accent, I think Don sometimes gets away with some of his takes because he sounds like the rest of us. He's from London. He sounds, I think Gal gets a bad rap because he's Canadian. He's got a Canadian accent, and because he's softly spoken. If that makes sense, I just feel like those things play into it. But look, Don's got a lot of things right. What I love about Don is the way he words things. He honestly, I hope he's doing very well in his profession he says he does recruitment. It means you sell people jobs. It's sales, right? He must be amazing. He does these brilliant things. I'd pick I'd pick Colwell over Gabriel in a combined 11 with Arsenal. But specifically because I think Colwell and Saliba would flourish together. I don't think Colwell is better than Gabriel. He words it very, very well.
There's always an out in the take. There's always a way you can claim. I didn't mean that.
If you are ever putting a contract together and you want a get out clause that's hidden, get Don to write it for you because he is the master at the get out clause, bruv. He's gonna have no problem if he ever gets divorced. He ain't losing a penny, Don, because it'll all be tied up. It really, really will. He's brilliant there, he really is. But you call him Don Illusion. My favorite name the Terrace have for him is Condom.
Yeah, I've seen that one. The Condom.
I like that one. I like it a lot.